tons of equipment and a small army of highly trained men stationed along the course.
Runway 25 left, then make your left turn out at the shoreline. There'll be a jet departing behind you on runway 25 right. For 16 Bravo, I wanted you to fly westbound over 25 left. However, now that you started the left turn, continue to left turn out now. VFR midfield left turn.
And yet, in this tiny head, there is something that all the ingenuity of man cannot duplicate. Say, what's this? Something out of a nightmare? Could be if you dream of bats. The bat is a mysterious creature, the only mammal that flies. Like other mammals, it bears its young alive and suckles them at its breast. This is typical bat country. Only a bat could feel at home here. But rents are reasonable and bat apartments easy to find. That is, for bats they are. But scientists spend long hours searching for the bat hideouts. And the main object of their interest? The bat's remarkable abilities in flight. And then our official bat catcher swings into action in order that some of the bats may be taken to the laboratory for closer study. At the Moody Institute of Science, the bats quickly become adjusted to their new environment. Mickey was an orphan when we found him, but he quickly became the lab pet. Somehow he had his own ideas about food. Even a doll's nursing bottle wasn't much of an attraction at first. But it wasn't long before Mickey felt right at home with his bottle. In a few short days, the two were inseparable. But life isn't all nursing bottles in a science lab. There's work to be done, even for bats. These bats never served in the Army, but they know what an obstacle course is. The bat's wing spread far exceeds the space between the crossbars, and only clever maneuvering will permit him to fly between them. As the bat is released, we cross our fingers and hope he'll do what the book says. Now watch this. Bats are not blind. They have eyes and they can see. But the key to the bat's success in avoiding obstacles is not his ability to see. To prove it, we'll blindfold him and put him through another test. Blindfolded, he dodges those bars just as skillfully as he did before. But how does he do it? Well, science knows that bats emit strange cries in flight. They can't be picked up by the ordinary microphone. They're far beyond the range of the human ear. But a very special high-frequency amplifier, tuned to 32,000 cycles for this particular bat, translates these inaudible sounds into sounds we can hear. Bats' ears are extremely sensitive to high-pitched sounds. And the question arose, can the bat's own cries be signals that guide it in flight? Well, let's tie the bat's mouth closed so he can't make these sounds and see what happens. Science has proved conclusively that bats are guided in flight by echoes of their signal cries. That's actually a kind of radar. Man's radar takes tons of equipment and a large crew of men to operate. But the bat carries its remarkable radar around in its tiny head. Radar that guides it safely through the intense darkness of the caves, that keeps it from colliding with obstacles it cannot see, or with the thousands of other bats flying through the same darkness. Where did the bat get such marvelous equipment? Obviously, this is all a part of an intelligent plan, but whose intelligence? The bat's? If we were to visit the beaches of Southern California on certain spring and summer evenings, we'd find them dotted with campfires. But the people around these fires are not picnickers. Believe it or not, these folks are fishing. But now, here comes the lookout shouting, "Hey, Grunion, come on, come on!" And they're off in the strangest sport on earth. But wait a minute. Where's the fishing tackle? You can't fish without poles or nets, or can you? Fish out of water. Yes, and these fish haven't been washed up on the beach by accident. They deliberately come out of the water to lay their eggs on shore, the only fish in the world that spawn on land. Fish nesting on land, one of the rarest of all biological phenomena. A spectacle so unique it can be witnessed nowhere in the world except on a few Southern California beaches. Here, the female digs into the sand, tail first, and lays her eggs. Once they are fertilized, a desperate struggle for survival begins. If she misses the next wave, she has little chance to survive. The eggs are always laid when the water is far up on the beach. Then, night after night, the waters recede until they reach the lowest tide. By then, the eggs may be hundreds of feet from the water's edge, far from the element in which the fish must eventually live. Here the eggs develop, lying buried in the warm, moist sand. In the photomicrographic department here at the laboratory, the embryonic development, which normally takes place under the sand, is studied with the microscope. These eggs were fertilized only seconds ago, and now one is being prepared for observation. With the aid of the lapse time photomicrographic equipment, which compresses days into seconds, we will be able to witness this amazing spectacle, the magical unfolding of life through cell division. The first faint stirrings of life come when the blastodermal cap, seen in this circle, divides into two separate cells. In about 30 minutes, the second cleavage becomes evident, resulting in 4 cells. Successive divisions produce 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on up to hundreds of thousands of cells. This formless cluster is actually a fish in the making. It contains all the characteristics of the adult grunion, its size, its shape, its habits. Yes, even the germ of that mysterious wisdom by which it will someday be able to perfectly time its spawning with the movement of the tides. The first recognizable features are the head and the eyes. And the first action of the fish, controlled by its newly formed muscles, is revealed by the lapse time camera as a series of convulsive jerks. The head and the eyes are more plainly visible now. And on the opposite side of the egg, the tail is beginning to form. At this stage of its growth, the embryonic fish is 4 days old. The head and the eyes are well formed now, and the simple heart, already at work, can be seen. After 8 to 10 days, the egg